do. And of course, very grateful to those of you who joined outside of your working hours. I hope that I can make this next 60 minutes totally worth your time as well. Um, so my name is Vidhi, like I mentioned, and I work in the trust and safety team. And one of the things that we do as a part of this team also is actually figure out what are the kind of abuses that are happening in the online ecosystem. How can we detect it? How can we prevent it? And more important for this community, right? Since you all have been contributing so well in kind of making sure that Google is also an inclusive workspace, that Google is also an inclusive platform, like Madhurima mentioned. I also would like to share certain tips with you, or and we'll go through them in the slides as well. But basically, how is it that you can also help in making Google and online interactions safer for all? So I will be talking about a lot of basic things in this deck, but at the same time, there will be certain areas where I'll lead you through certain technical things that you can find, or how is it, for example, that you can protect your own personal online interactions as well. But it's because there's a lot to do and learn online, right? And we all go online for various reasons. We could be going online to just listen to music. We could be going online to talk to our friends, our colleagues, our family members, or like just get an email as well, right? Next slide, please. But there is a lot to be careful about as well, right? And when I said that we're all going online, there are people with varying backgrounds and that are going online. There are people of various age groups that are going online as well, right? So there are children also who are going online, who are studying online. So there are different groups of people who are going online for various reasons. They need to be careful about their interactions online as well. So being internet awesome is basically our motto of the day. How is it that we can actually secure our online interactions? How is it that we can report when we see a bad online interaction or bad online content? And then, of course, how can we also share this with others to make sure that we're not spreading bad information or we're not spreading misinformation? So the next one is actually going to be a very quick video that's there on Internet Awesome. You can find this on YouTube as well later, but Madhuri might, if you just want to play it for everyone right now.
I couldn't imagine what the world would be like without internet today. It'd be nothing but chaos.
Oh, yeah.
I've tried preparing for the real world. I'm not looking 24/7, so I can't protect him all the time here.
Madhuri,
Kids are inherently curious, and on the internet, there's so much knowledge and
Sorry, what did you say?
The video also has captions, so you can switch it on.
Let me restart it.
I couldn't imagine what the world would be like without internet today. It'd be nothing but chaos. I've tried preparing for the real world. I'm not looking 24/7, so I can't protect him all the time here.
kids are inherently curious. And on the internet, there's so much knowledge and information that I need to make sure that as an educator that I'm teaching them the skills that they need to start to look out for themselves. The Be Internet Awesome program is designed to teach students in a fun way how to be safe online. You're on a web page and you see a button that says, click here and you could win $1 million. What do you think would happen?
All right, so while you're pulling up the screen again, we're anyway almost towards the end of the video, right? But you get the gist of it. We have people coming online at a very young age as well, and irrespective of our age or irrespective of our background, we can all get targeted by phishing scams or money laundering scams, right? So being internet awesome, while this video focused a lot on children, the idea behind it is that we're all learning as well on how to be safe online, irrespective of our age group, right? And things keep developing and evolving as well when we do have our interactions online. And the way we had fraud happening earlier, say 10 years ago when people used to go online, is very different from how fraud happens right now as well. So either way, when we do these kind of online interactions, it's super important for us to always stay alert, like we spoke about it. And always be very cautious about what we're digesting as information online, and at the same time, what is it that we're sharing with others as well. Next slide, please.
I couldn't imagine what the world would be like without internet today.
Yeah, so I'm going to share four different topics here in terms of how is it that you can keep yourself safe online, not just you, but everyone around you as well, right? So I think the first thing is do not trust everything that you see online. How is it that we understand and react to misinformation, right? Next slide, please. So generally, misinformation can come in various ways, right? You could get misinformation over messages over your phone, or you could even get misinformation when you're searching for something online as well, right? And while as Google, we try to verify every single search result that is still out there. Sometimes when you get links via messages or via other chatting platforms, they can lead to various different websites, and not all of them will be fact checked, right? Not all of them will have the right information. So, for example, this is an example of like the screenshot here is from the website of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in India. All different countries do have these kind of resources that you can reach out to, but the idea is that when you're checking for information, and I've given an example of COVID-related information, right? Because that is something that has been on the top of mind for a lot, for most of us due to the recent pandemic. Always check for official websites. We will keep getting links that redirect us to miracle cures, etc. But it is always preferred that you check either the WHO website or your local country's website as well. Next slide, please. Beware of fake news and stories that are circulating over messages, right? And I'm sure a lot of you would have seen that in the last 2 years, either way. You just have to be alert about it, and you have to make sure that you're not sharing these with anyone if you are not certain that this is coming from a reliable source, right? And more often than not, when you're looking at the screenshot also of some of these messages, right, you will I'll take you through a very interesting example, but you will get an idea of what is it that is fully picked up from an official site versus what is just being circulated as a template among a large group of people, right? For example, if you see the screenshot on the right, it's talking about can you prevent COVID-19 by putting bleach or other disinfectants in your body? No, you cannot. And these are this is the kind of misinformation which was unfortunately circulating a lot during the pandemic. Not only is it our job to understand this information and not kind of buy into it, but it's also our job to point out that it's misinformation if we're completely aware of it. It's our job to also make sure that we don't keep forwarding these messages as well. Because if you remember on the video what we spoke about, right, our internet footprint stays. So it's very important to make sure that you're absolutely aware of the footprints that you are leaving behind when you're interacting online. Next slide, please. So this is a very nice example of how anyone can create a template, right? Make up random facts and circulate it on the internet, right? And there are different types of facts that can be made. You see the first screenshot, it's talking about are you seeking a job? Beware. Miscreants look for opportunities to trick people into jobs. So I'm giving a lot of relevant examples because of the pandemic as well. A lot of people lost their jobs because of various reasons. So we had fraudsters who were trying to capitalize on their misfortune and sharing or circulating this kind of misinformation out there, right? And a lot of times, what it would generally be is that these fraudsters would say that you give us a token money or you give us a registration fee of sorts, right? And it could be something as benign as even $1, right? Or even 50 rupees or whichever kind of messages were spreading like wildfire in the messaging groups that this YouTube creator actually tried to test it out with. No one bothered to actually check if this is true, which is where we fall into the trap of spreading misinformation as well. Next slide, please. So we've covered the first few slides on misinformation and the kind of messages or articles that we see and how to prevent them from scamming you as well as scamming others. But phishing attempts are also something that are very common when it comes to fraudsters trying to share an email or be a message that will actually look like it's coming from a reputable source. But the idea is that they are designed to trick a person into revealing sensitive information that is about their own themselves. Basically, they will lead the victim into revealing sensitive information, or they will deploy malicious software on the victim's infrastructure like ransomware. Like, so if you look at this example, it will say from the Swiss International Lottery award notification, dear first name, whatever, congratulations, you've received. I can't even count the number of zeros, right? Like 500 million USD in cash, one lump sum tax free. So these are trigger words that they use that to trick users into thinking that they've actually won a lottery. People, when they see such high amounts as well, right, people forget whether or not they've even entered a lottery. And then they give a lot of this information, which will sound like, okay, it's a reliable company, etc. And then they will also keep sending you messages like click here to claim your money, etc. But when you click on some of these links, they will actually lead you to websites that will download malware on your phone or get your personal information, and then you're sorted for them. In a lot of these times, for example, on the screenshot in the left, right now they will say one lump sum tax free, it doesn't matter. But when you actually contact them, more often than not, they will ask you for money first. They will say that you still need to give a token money to get your entire lottery money, or you do still need to pay certain amount of taxes for you to get the money. People will buy into it because it's still a huge amount of money that they're getting, right? And then this is how they end up getting frauded as well. If you go to the second slide, the slide after this, you can also identify phishing attempts well, right? Like this is an example of an email which is attempting to phish a victim. So you will see that they will say that the account is in trouble. Mostly it's something that is concerning or is harrowing in nature for the victim, right? There will be a lot of spelling errors. They will ask you to verify your information as well. They might even ask for your personal information. And there usually be a sense of urgency. Something basically that is going to really trigger you or hook you on to responding, right? Like huge amount of money that is won at the lottery, or there's a sense of urgency that you need to necessarily perform these steps to verify that you are an account holder. And people get worried and then they basically click on these links and then your account gets phished, right? So these are some examples on how basically you can make sure that you are extremely cautious and wary of the information that you see online and what to trust online and what not. Next slide, please. Now, the next few slides are going to be around Google account safety, and this will be slightly more tactical in nature, if not fully technical, but I will take you through certain steps that each of you can actually follow when it comes to securing your own Google accounts as well. Next slide, please. So there are a lot of key tools that you can use to protect your own privacy and security of your interactions, specifically when you're logged into your Google account as well, right? So via your Google account, firstly, you can control and decide how your information can make Google tools and services work better for you. But at the same time, it is important to also make sure, and I'm skipping a few pointers here, it's also important to make sure that you are doing a privacy checkup, where you're reviewing and adjusting the data or what data Google uses to personalize your experience as well, right? Similarly, it's important to do a security checkup to make sure that connected apps, devices, and account permissions are always checked by you to keep your account safe. Data transparency also becomes important where you can view, manage, and download all of your data in a dashboard at any time. All of this you can do via the Google account. Two-factor authentication, I'm sure some of you might already have this when you log into, say, a payments app, or sometimes even when you log into your Gmail. But the idea is keeping your information safe with two-factor content as well. And then, of course, family links like setting safe boundaries for your child's account and your Android device. Next slide, please. So here I'll take you through some tools which will be useful for you in your day-to-day lives as well, right? We'll share some of these links later on as well for your review, but the first thing is actually doing your My Account Google.com security checkup for any of these accounts. Do you have saved passwords on your Google Chrome? What are the sites for which you have saved passwords? Where is it that you have done two-step verification? And show some of these examples online, but essentially this is what security checkup does. Next slide, please. Yeah, so like I said, starting off with your Google account first. Google account gives you quick access to the settings and tools that lets you safeguard your data and protect your privacy. And you can also decide how to make the information that you share to enable Google tools and services to work better for you. But also sharing just some highlights as well here, right? Next slide, please. So if you look at this slide, it's important to also, while you're providing some information that will customize your experience online, it's also important to decide what privacy settings are right for you. So when you go to your Google account and then you click on data and personalization, you can adjust your account settings. For example, you have payment methods, you could have certain purchases or subscriptions, even your language and input tools, right? Or your accessibility. Even if you want to delete your account with certain services, all of this you can do via the via this tab that is there on your Google account, which is data and personalization. Next slide, please. Similarly, the idea is that once you've kind of gone through all of this, all of the different tabs that are there on Google account, which is say people and sharing and payments and subscription, the idea is that by doing this process, you're actually setting up an account so that it works for you, right? Because you would want to have a preferred language setting, or you would want to share your passwords for a specific period of time or on specific websites only. So these account preferences help you manage your Google account better and make sure that you have complete control over the information that you're sharing via your Google account. And then, of course, all other information also that you have set up via your Google account. Say if it's a payment profile via GPay is payments app, for example. All of this you can control via your Google account. Next slide, please. The next step is the security checkup, which is what I was talking about earlier as well, right? See which are the devices that are connected to your account. Review the security events. Like you will also be able to check which, for example, new Windows signed in here, which device signed into your account at what time. And you can verify whether or not it was you or if it was someone else. But the idea is that Google proactively also sends these notifications to you just to make sure that you are in complete control of the signings that are happening on your account, even if it's via multiple devices. And if at any point in time you feel that someone has signed to your device, but it's not you, or via a device that you own, you can always mark it as no, it wasn't me, and we block that device and we try and charge that for you, right? So you can review your security events and even see which third-party apps have access to your data, which is super important because we do download a lot of apps, right? All of us probably have quite a few apps on our phone, but we don't necessarily see which app is asking for which data. And sometimes to even function properly on the app, we grant a lot of data accesses. But say if the app is lying dormant on your phone or you don't necessarily use that app anymore, basically, we don't go back and revoke some of these data accesses, right? So it's important for you to regularly do the security checkup as well so that you can make sure that your data that you're sharing with these apps is something that you're controlling. Next slide, please. Also make sure, I think this is simple, but it's super important to make sure that you trust connected devices and apps. There's a lot that you can do in general, like I said, with security checkups, right? But make sure that you are trusting some of these, like when you open your security checkup and you're looking at all the options that are present, right? For you to also decide what is it that's right for me to keep and what is it that's not right for me to keep. Make sure that you have a certain level of trust in some of these apps that you are downloading. Make sure that you're setting up two-step verification in cases where you're unsure of. And then, of course, we will continue sending alerts anytime we feel that your account is being accessed by a different device. And you can also run some of these tests on your phone where we can check if any harmful apps were found on your phone. Next slide, please. So again, these are just screenshots where you can view your recent activity and also receive alerts as well. There's also an option which is per se not included here, but you can also include like recovery information. For example, if you put in a phone number or another email ID, right? These can help Google get in touch with you anytime you're locked out of your account. And we only use these phone numbers or other email IDs to protect your account. There is no other reason why it gets used. So your data also stays completely safe. Next slide, please. So we covered security checkup earlier. Now we're moving on to privacy checkup. And what I mentioned earlier is that the idea of having privacy checkup is because we wanted all Google users to get that additional transparency as well as control over their data. Like what is the kind of information that they would want to even share publicly, right? And users can initiate their privacy checkup easily via the Google account in the same manner that we showed the security checkup earlier. Next slide, please. So the idea here is that once you start your privacy checkup via the Google account, you can choose what information you want to share with your friends or make public, right? Like the simplest thing I can think of is your age, your gender, your date of birth. You can actually choose what is it that you want to make publicly available and what is it that you want to restrict, right? It can also be certain other things beyond your personal information, like your location history. These are also things that you can pause to be shared externally. Next slide, please. This one will be relevant for a lot of us because we do use comes to some of those. So I've actually listened to my commands as well. But it's also important to make sure that you're managing our YouTube search and watch settings purely because this also changes the types of ads you see. So if I'm interested in seeing ads about dog trainers or dog training equipment, it's fine and those kind of ads will show up for me because I am watching that sort of content on YouTube. But there is always the option that a user has to control the kind of ads that they are seeing, right? Specifically, you can if you lose or steal your phone, again via the My Google account, we as Google can also take very action quickly based on the reports that you send us, right? So with the Find Your Mobile option, we can access your Google account on any device and locate it via map or GPS, basically where the phone is. You can also make it sound at a distance, so you'll be able to hear it when you are close, even if you had earlier left your phone on silent mode. And if you are not able to recover your phone still, you can block the equipment, even leaving a note in case someone finds it, or directly close that session so that nobody can access your personal data. Ultimately, if none of this works out, we can also make sure that you are able to erase all of your personal data on your cell phone, including photos and downloaded files, so that nobody else who has stolen your phone has a chance to recover it. All of these options are available, of course, on Android devices, but they can help everyone who uses iOS as well. So we can play a quick video here, Madhurima, next slide, please. Uh, okay, maybe we can skip this video for now, but I think I'm more or less covered what is it that I was trying to
later over email.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. So we basically covered a huge chunk right now, and I think this is the only chunk that I said will be a little more tactical in nature because I spoke about how you can actually use your Google account to do your security checkup, do your privacy checkup, control the data that you're sharing, make sure that you have two-factor authentication or your like basically your phone number or additional email address is also given to make sure that you have those additional layers of protection. And we also spoke about YouTube and how you can control the kind of ads that get shown to you on YouTube. The next section that we're going to cover is a short one, but it's important because protecting your information online is something that naturally, at least innately, comes to all of us that we do want to make sure we protect our information. But I'm also just going to share a few basic tips on digital payments and email security. Next slide, please. So the main thing to do here is to make sure that you're protecting all your accounts across all devices and products, right? So there are three things that I want to highlight here. One is strong different passwords. a lot of us have so many different apps that we're logged into. We have passwords for those apps as well. We have so many different email accounts, and we have accounts with so many other companies as well, right? How is it that you make sure that you are using strong and different passwords? Is something that is completely in your control, and we should be mindful of when we're also setting up these sort of passwords. Again, same thing, opt for two-step verification just to secure your account by that additional layer of verification and recognize phishing emails. So we've covered all of these in the previous slides as well, but it is important when you're talking about protecting your information online as well. And I'm going to give a very simple example of strong and different passwords here because the idea of creating a strong and different password also is that it's something that's easy for the user to remember as well. It's not super complicated, but at the same time, it's hard for a fraudster to crack, right, or a hacker to crack. So I've just given a simple sentence here, which is, I love to visit Kolkata physically. So Kolkata is a city in India, and this is how I or anybody can basically think about remembering their passwords, right? So either you can select a sentence, and this is a new sort of password generation as well that we recommend to people to create a strong password. Of course, there are many different ways, but this is just one of the examples. So you can select a sentence like this and use the first letters of each of the words in that sentence. Of course, make sure that you have capital letters as well as alphanumeric letters where possible, which is why we see the second example, which is a mix of block letters, alphanumeric letters, etc. Or you can actually use that entire sentence as well as your password, right? There is most of these sites do not have very short limits on your password. Your password need not be something that's extremely short. Based on the character limit that is there in the password requirements that belong to those different websites, you can actually choose any of these options that are given here. Next slide, please. Again, make sure that you're protecting your accounts on mobile, protect your device from unauthorized access and bad apps as well if lost. Simplest thing, always lock your phones. I'm sure everyone already does it, but it's important because even if your device is stolen, you already have that device level security that you have put in there. And make sure that you also add your owner information, right? So I've given certain screenshots here where when you actually go to your device security, there is an option to put in your emergency number as well that will show up on your lock screen message. So when you click on screen lock, basically, right? So even if your device is lost, it's not stolen, because your emergency number is out there on the screen and no one needs to unlock your phone to view that number, they can actually call you or whoever owns that number, and you can retrieve your phone that way. The next bit that I'm going to cover, next slide please, is actually knowing your privacy settings as well, right? And this can be across different websites, it can be across different apps, but it's important to review your privacy settings, number one, do the privacy checkup that I spoke about, but also look at if there were security issues that you found, right? And again, this might seem like a little bit of the repetition of the previous section, but the reason why I'm reiterating this is that all of this becomes super important for you to also protect your information online. Similarly, you can see another screenshot on the right about a different app where you can do a privacy checkup. You can see what you're sharing, your own data settings, and how people can also find you on that specific website. Next slide, please. So we covered a lot on email security right now, and like I said, those are basic things, and I feel that most of you might be able to connect with it as well, right? And of course, still happy to answer questions towards the end. But digital payments is a slightly different ball game because a lot of people in the world are still new to the world of digital payments. Digital payments is a very fast-growing market. And across the world, across different countries, it's growing at an unprecedented pace. So it's also important to make sure that we are working towards keeping our payments as well safe. So the first thing is, and I've given a screenshot of a Google specific payment app here, but it will be relevant to any other payment app also that you use. So please bear with me there. The first thing that you need to do is never share your password, PIN, or mobile OTPs, right? A lot of times, fraudsters will socially engineer victims into thinking that if they share an OTP or if they share the password, they're going to receive money, right? But the moment you enter your PIN, your UPI PIN or your password to the correct user. So don't be in a hurry while making payments. I know that we all live in a very fast-paced world, but it's important at least to be alert when such warnings pop up. Be aware of suspicious behavior and be mindful of these warnings that pop up on your payment apps. Next slide, please. Again, avoid hack sites and keep an eye on the browser's address bar. Right? This is also another way in which you end up going to a different website versus the product that is actually being advertised for. So here you can see that the logo and the company that is here is actually different. But when you actually look on the website, the URL that you see, right, it's actually something completely different. And you will end up paying money for a product that you're never going to receive. We call these things as seller scams, where you will get messages, or you might even hear about this from other people, and you open these links, and the website will look very genuine, but sometimes the attention also lies in the detail. Always make sure that the company name and the brand name matches with actually the website that you're being directed to. So this is also another way in which you can avoid hack sites. Next slide, please. Now, it's important to not only make sure that you are being completely aware of your interaction that you're doing online and how you're navigating through some of these websites online, but it's also important for you to be aware of some of these scams that are going to happen. And right now, I'll share a few examples of scams that are not only happening in India, but are actually happening globally in the world. And these are all money-related scams. So the first example on the left will be messages that people have been getting saying that they actually belong to the military service, or they're army officers, or they're even doctors, right? I just gave an example of an army officer here. But basically the idea is that they will try and impersonate someone that you would personally be able to connect to. And you would want to help out the person because they'll ask for money because they are in distress. And they will even share screenshots of their ID proof, right? Like basically a driver's license or a passport or something, who have stolen other people's identities and are asking for money. Now, the idea might ask me, how is it that I actually prevent myself from giving money to these people? Right? I really support their cause, or I kind of associate with the pain that they've been through. How can I stop myself from getting caught into these traps? It's important to be, firstly, alert and aware, right? Search for them. Use the internet, search for them, see the kind of results that also pop up, right? And more often than not, I would say that if there are individual people who are asking for money to you over messages, also question, how did they get your number, right? Did you provide a number to someone else saying that, hey, feel free to circulate it in case people need donations from you? So these are the questions you need to ask and actually try and evaluate the authenticity of the person before going ahead and making a payment. Similarly, the example on the right is that something we call an earning scam. I spoke about this earlier as well. But basically, what happens is that you might even get a simple SMS saying you can earn a second income, and it's going to be a huge amount as well. And it will lead you to a small link. But the idea is the fraudster will ask you for a token money. Either it could be that you end up losing a lot of money in the hope that you will actually get a job, or sometimes the link itself is a phishing link, and you might end up having malware or ransomware installed on your phone. So be very suspicious of messages that you get from accounts or phone numbers that are not already in your contact list or you're not aware of them. Next slide, please. So just summarizing digital payments and how you can stay safe online. Make sure that you use digital transactions only for trusted merchants. So think about merchants that you have interacted with before. Think about companies or sellers that you have bought from before as well, right? And then of course, you can always Google and find more about new merchants that you haven't bought from before. But make sure that you're using a digital transactions only for trusted merchants. Register for mobile banking. This will ensure that you get an SMS or a text message for every single transaction. So even if someone else is using your mobile banking account, they might not be able using your bank account. They might not be able to authenticate a transaction because the SMS or text messages actually come to your phone. Make sure that you also check your savings account balance regularly for suspicious transactions. And then the last thing is, of course, if you lose your devices, make sure you call up customer care, whether it's your bank customer care or your wallet customer care, and block all your UPI accounts or your wallets or all your payment profiles. Next slide, please. So we covered a lot. The last few slides we covered a lot on how you can protect your information and, of course, how to be safe while doing digital payments. This is going to be the last section of our presentation where I'm going to cover how is it that you all can actually report back content or these sort of fake messages or misinformation that's actually circulating, right? Next slide, please. So the first example is of reporting back content on Google search. So anytime you search for something on Google, if you scroll down to the search results page, there's actually an option for you to send feedback. I know you're not able to see it in the screenshot right now, but exactly that's what it is. Search for anything, go to the bottom, you will see an option to send feedback. So you will find the feedback section, and you can actually pass feedback on whether or not you find that content offensive or if it's actually fake information. And Google, by search, by the feedback that you're giving us, will actually verify that information and take action on it. Next slide, please. So this is an example on Google actually, on YouTube actually, right? Again, on YouTube, you can also report content that you feel should not be there on that platform. And it could be because of multiple reasons, right? Either it's violent content or it's child abuse or it infringes on your personal rights. You're actually able to select an issue and actually report that content as well. So these are certain things that active users can actually keep in mind when they would want to report content online. Next slide, please. The next slide will cover a little more tactical stuff, but the idea is that we also have a removal form which is present in our web search center, and I've provided the link here, but we'll also share the link towards the end. And this form will remove images from Google only, not the internet provided them violate our policies, and you can contact a website owner to get the page removed entirely. So basically, the screenshot that you see on the right is basically what you get to do. Either remove information that you see in Google search or prevent information from showing on Google search, right? But the important thing that we called out here is this, that when you use this form, it will remove images from Google only. The idea behind it is to make sure that you are actually taking an active step in removing your information if you wish to across a lot of different platforms, right? So it's important to make sure that you are searching for your information. If you find it on our website, you can always contact the webmaster, and then you can also try and remove an entire page if required as well, if you think that that's the best option for you to remove your information. Next slide, please. So we are towards the end of our presentation. Quick recap for all of us. Next slide, please. Firstly, do not trust everything that you see online. So don't reply to suspicious messages. Stop and look before you're downloading. And be aware of fake news or stories that are circulating over messages. The second topic that we spoke about is how that you can protect your information as well online, right? Use strong passwords. Never share your passwords and OTPs, specifically OTPs that are related to payments. Make sure that you're keeping your account safer. Set up the two-step verification. Get to know your email settings. Do regular security checkups and privacy checkups. And then, of course, anytime you're using a shared computer or a public computer, log out of it after use. And then the last one is, how can you report bad content? I showed some examples. Flag inappropriate content via the right channel. But also something for us to think about is that while I'm reporting content, and that is something that I'm actively doing, the simplest thing that you can also do is think before you share content. If you feel that certain content is bad, and even if someone has shared it to you via an SMS or is circulating via your chat messaging apps, does not mean that you need to share it. Stop, take a step back, think about the kind of content it is and how is it that it might impact the person who you send the content to, or if that content contains personal information about someone else, is that something that you really want to forward? So it's also important to actually act with integrity and think about what it is that you're sharing or forwarding. So I've provided all the additional resources in the next slide, other than next slide, please. So you can use the Safety Center. You can also use these checkup tools. And of course, for those of you who are interested in kid safety online as well, we have the Be Internet Awesome curriculum and Internet team. And I think someone put that on the chat box as well that you can access. So that's the end of our presentation. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Vidhi. Thank you for that insightful presentation. I learned quite a bit, and few of them have actually happened to me. So I have personal experience with a whole bunch of them, especially with COVID and all the misinformation. It was so confusing. So this was very insightful. I've posted the link to the slider. There's also the QR code on screen in case anybody wants to use that. We already have quite a few questions. So I'll get started. Let me switch to presenting that tab very quickly. Okay, so we can go over one of these questions. So the first one says, how do you handle various kinds of complaints from customers? I think people are just inquisitive to know what we do once we get the complaints, if you have more insight on that.
Yeah. So once we get a complaint, firstly, be rest assured that every single complaint is reviewed. Every single complaint is taken into consideration with a good amount of urgency, right? So what happens when we get a complaint is that we actually investigate the complaint. And we try to understand what is the issue that the customer is actually facing. Because there could be various sort of issues, right? It could be that the customer is actually blocked on their user journey when they're interacting online. It could be that the customer has actually lost a huge amount of money via, say, a Google payment app, and they're trying to figure out what to do. In a lot of these cases, if we are in a position to actually solve the complaint as such, so if it's something as simple as, I forgot my email password and I can't remember the secondary email password that I had shared, or I did not provide my phone number for a two-step verification, those are definitely in our control. And then we try and reopen that account for those customers. But of course, we do a thorough investigation to make sure that we are opening accounts to the genuine customers. And in some cases where it is also important for us to redirect the customers to the right authorities as well, right? So say if you have been scammed online, we might also, while trying to help you, redirect you to the local enforcement agencies in your country, or also advise you on how you can reach out to your bank to make sure that you're kind of protecting your payments online. So that's generally how we handle. I've shared examples of different types of complaints, but that's how we handle these complaints. All right, next question. How to reduce your internet footprint? MyActivityGoogle.com does that help? So this is basically like if you just open the website, in case everyone else was supposed to see, right? It basically sort of helps you track your activity. But the idea is different people will have different definitions on how to use the internet footprint, right? So you might have to be mindful of the kind of apps that you're downloading, and then of course the kind of accesses and controls that you're also giving to those sort of apps. So it's not just about tracking your footprint, this link sort of helps you do, but if you also want to protect or limit the information that's out there, or basically I would rather say restrict or control your internet footprint, it's important to make sure that you are aware of all the accesses and controls that you have provided either to third-party apps or to websites, basically whenever you're interacting online. And I already gave information on how you can actually do your own privacy and security checkups via the Google Account Center to kind of check on this. Found a huge security hole in that section of the accounts. I'm not really sure I understand this information, and I'm not really sure I understand this question.
If you don't mind, can you resubmit this question and tell us what was it that you faced, and like what was the security issue that you faced? Maybe we can answer this more in detail. But for now, I think we can move on to the next one.
Yes, thank you.
The next question is how to locate lost phone in which I've already put second factor authentication. I'm not able to log in with that account on another device without it. Like I mentioned, make sure that you're logged in for Find My Phone. That way, you can actually, you don't need to log into your phone or log into your account by another device. All you need to do is activate the Find My Phone option that is there, and your phone will start ringing. Or if your device is not somewhere close, it will at least show you the location of your device. And then, of course, if worst comes to worst, if you're not able to reach the location where your device is and your phone is not ringing because for whatever reasons, you can always still use the same option to erase all your data. Next question, and maybe we can keep this as the last question because I know that we're running out of time.
Yeah, can we answer the question about the Titan security because it seems more specific right now?
Yes. Why is the Google Titan security key device authenticate Google accounts only available in few countries? So, to be very honest, it depends a bit on the kind of security preferences that are there from country to country. It also depends on the kind of attacks that we feel might be happening from region to region. So it's not available in all countries, that is absolutely correct. But it also depends on the kind of activity one is doing on their devices, right? What is the kind of device that's happening? Which is the country in which the device is actually operating? A lot of these things go into picture when deciding on whether or not a Google Titan security key is needed to authenticate Google accounts. I'll give a very specific example so that this might also help you relate to it, right? We are at more often than another example that I can give you is that if you're actually accessing, like say if you're a corporate or you work for a corporate and you are working on sensitive information, specifically information about your clients, to make sure that no one else can access that information as well, we prefer providing the Titan security key to authenticate the Google account. So it can be from a very specific user or from a very specific use case to fighting fraud to a larger use case of actually ensuring that the right people have access to sensitive data that might be getting accessed via that person's device.
So can we just take the one last question here because it seems like it could be useful around shared computer and how to be safe around it?
Yeah. So the question is how to know that if the shared computer is safe for login or not, means if it does not contain any third-party spy. That's a good question. Firstly, it's important for you to like different people will have different choices with their web browser, right? So when you do log into your preferred web browser, say you do log into your, say you open up Google Chrome, right? There will be certain subtle signs that they might ask you. For example, is the web browser forcing you to sign in and forcing you to put in your password, where your password is visible? Then that means that there's something fishy about it, right? Similarly, say you go into a shared computer and you look on the desktop and you see the kind of apps that are out there. Just use your phone to kind of search about those apps, right? Or even just use the current web browser to search for your apps. More often than not, the simplest thing that all of us can do when you're using a shared computer is try not to log into your personal accounts if you can avoid it. If you're using it for a very specific purpose of just searching for things or watching YouTube, you can actually do it without logging into your personal account, right? And if there is a need for you to log into a personal account or log into a social media page via this shared computer, the other thing that you can do is go back and immediately change your password from a secure computer. And then the last thing, of course, again, is that say your account is re-logged in from a shared computer later on, like I said, Google will always send you an alert on another device saying that your account has been logged at this time from this computer. So that way you can block access to that device as well. And this is just a reactive approach. You can also proactively go back and block accesses to certain devices that show up on your My Account page. So these are just certain tips and tricks, but I'm sure a lot of different people would have different ways in making sure that there are no third-party spies or like basically that the shared computer is safe.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vidhi. We are just a little over time, but thank you so much for sharing all these useful tips with us. It's going to go a long way in securing us and our safety on the internet, which is obviously very important as we spend more and more time online, right? And all of us are using all kinds of devices and logging into a whole bunch of things. So this is obviously very practical and very helpful. So thank you so much for joining us today. I've posted the link to the feedback form. Please provide us with feedback. It's very essential that we continue to improve. And for all of you who have done this before, we always end all our meetups with a quick picture. So if everybody is comfortable, whoever is comfortable, please feel free to switch on your cameras so we can quickly take a group picture. I'll send this across, obviously, over email so you can share it online. So I'll give another 2 seconds for everybody to switch on your cameras. Feel free to increase your brightness just so that it's clear. And we're obviously a lot of people, so also feel free to take pictures for yourself because I don't think I can accommodate everybody on the screen. So, okay, awesome. I see some screens coming up still. Okay, on the count of three, 3, 2, 1, smiles. Awesome, let me take one more in case this was blurry. Okay, again on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1, smile. Awesome. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to fill the feedback form that's on the chat. I'll also send it over email. Thanks again, Vidhi. Thank you for staying late and talking to us. And to all of you celebrating the holy month of Ramadan, Eid Mubarak. We won't meet before Eid. I hope you have fun and you're enjoying your time with family and friends. And we wish you all the happiness in the world. So thank you so much for joining in today. We'll see you again soon. Bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you again.
Thank you.
Everyone, take care, man. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Needed to authenticate in the house. I'll give a very specific example so that this might also help you relate to it, right? We are, more often than not, we are actually